I spoke with defense analyst Michael O'Hanlon. He's with the Brookings Institution, a public policy organization based here in D.C. He says the budget boost is modest.
Well, the first thing to keep in mind, this is not a big number. People talk about it like $54 billion a year. That's relative to the sequestration level, the lower level, the kind that we usually have avoided in the Obama years, even though it was written into that 2011 Budget Control Act, which then produced sequestration one time in 2013. But otherwise, we've stayed above that level. So Trump is not $54 billion above where Obama's been. He's about $20 billion above where Obama's been. And so there's not that much money. That's 4% or so of the overall Pentagon budget. Obviously not trivial, but not really enough to fund all the things he said he wants to do, because he's been talking about growing the military by 10% or more. And a 4% budget increase is not going to be enough. So this is actually not a period of profound largesse for the Pentagon. It may be a period of substantial belt tightening elsewhere to find that $54 billion and keep the whole thing within these budget caps. You have to ask the question, what is it for? And you almost need to reduce your answer to just one or two things, because Trump's current thinking about an across-the-board buildup is just not going to be feasible on any kind of scale with a modest increase like this.
And what would those one or two things be?
The way I do it is to say, let's make sure we properly fund the wars, because Obama had anticipated cutting back dramatically, and I think we're going to have to keep at it for a while. Let's make sure we stop the cuts to the Army, because I think they had gone far enough. Let's keep the modest, gentle naval buildup. So for me, I have sort of a fairly modest across-the-board set of increases, or at least stabilization of existing cuts. But if Trump wants to be known for one or two big things, he's going to have to streamline, and he's going to have to say, okay, let's put it in just the Navy, or let's put it in just long-range unmanned combat vehicles, or, maybe those two things, but nothing else.
Michael, a group of retired generals and admirals want military spending not to come at the expense of diplomatic funding, and they've written a letter to congressional leaders saying so. I want to get your thoughts on that.
I think they're 100% right. One of the problems with the $54 billion, I mean, its magnitude may be reasonable, but it's being taken out of these other areas of domestic and foreign policy activity, which are not exactly bursting at the seams with excess funds. As you know, we're helping the Iraqi army liberate Mosul, the city in the northern part of that country that's been under ISIS control for a couple of years. And what happens after it's liberated? That's where the Iraqis have previously fallen short. So I think we should want to give the Iraqis some foreign assistance, conditioned on them working across sectarian lines, Sunni, Shia, Kurd. And that's just as important for preserving this military success as any kind of artillery or attack helicopter or anything else. And without preserving it, it will have been a waste of time to achieve it. So that's the kind of activity that becomes a lot more difficult if you cut foreign aid.
Chinese analysts say that China needs to ramp up defense spending somewhere in the neighborhood of double digits. We're expecting those numbers to come out from the NPC next week. Are we going to see other countries kind of respond with more spending as a result of what the U.S. may be doing?
I doubt it. Most countries on Earth are not capable of doing what both China and the United States have proven themselves able to do. China, as you know, has been doing double-digit defense budget increases as far back as the eye can see. And therefore, as the economy has doubled every 7 or 8 years, China's military budget has doubled every 7 or 8 years. Most of the other major Western countries, are the ones that we've been complaining about, not just Donald Trump, but Bob Gates, the former Secretary of Defense, and many others. So, I don't think any specific action from Washington is going to lead them to all of a sudden finally do what we've been asking.
Michael O'Hanlon, always a pleasure. Thanks so much.
My pleasure. Thank you.